And walk me through what you feel are some common misconceptions about cyber that you're encountering a lot.
I think people, well, there's many, right? I think I'm going to talk about job seekers, like people trying to come in, get their first job. I think the misconception is you don't need IT fundamentals because you get all these people, oh, you can get a 6-figure job in 2 days using my program. I think the other misconception is that they think it's easy and the education program they're going through right now, whether it's a boot camp, college certification, or just self-study, I think a lot of them that I've spoken to think that like, that's it. Like you do that and like you're done. Dude, I still learn all the time. Like I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. Right. And so I think for the entry level job market, those are the misconceptions. I think we talked about mindset. I think a huge thing for people already in that are looking at maybe another job or transferring to a different cyber career, it's mindset. They look at a job description and they say, oh, I don't meet 100% of that. We see that especially in disadvantaged communities, especially with, Black and brown women, that, oh, I don't meet all these criteria in the job description, I'm not going to apply. Whereas me, dude, I've applied for stuff like there's nothing on my resume that matches that role. But I'm like, that sounds like a cool job. Let me see what happens. And like, I'd say like maybe 50% of the time or more, like I get an interview and then I just wow them in the interview, right? And then a couple of times I got a job offer. It doesn't always work out like that, but like, you just gotta go for it. Like, what's the worst? Worst is they ghost you, especially these days. Like all these employers ghost you. So, they ghost you, or you hear a no. Oh no, right? I'd apply to something else that looks cool, right? I'm not saying apply to like every job. If you don't have any experience and you want a CISO role, like let's be realistic. But like other roles that are within a couple of years, they're asking for a few years experience, whatever. You can go for stuff like that. So I think that mindset. Now, if we flip the switch a little bit from just a career folks. I think on a business standpoint, I think that cyber for the small business community, which I think you guys in your consultant company do small business too. It's a like I did a webinar recently on ransomware. I spoke on a panel and for small businesses here in Houston, and they did a survey beforehand. And like, I think it was like either 30 or 50% or 60%, some ridiculous number of the businesses had no business continuity plan or disaster recovery plan. It's because it's such a second, like, hey, dude, I'm trying to get sales, right? You're like, I'm a small business, right. I'm trying to get sales, especially if there's a service company, like a coaching company or whatever. And they just don't think about that stuff. So I think cyber at the enterprise level, well thought about, well invested in. At the mid-level company, the mid-market company level, well invested in, well thought of. At the larger SMB level, well invested in, well thought, But at the small business, solopreneur, small business, maybe a few employees, maybe less than $1 million in revenue, or maybe low millions of revenue or less. It's a totally like, that's the furthest thing from my mind. And those are the ones that are pretty vulnerable because they're part of the supply chain. So I think that's another area, of misconception around that is that, hey, it's not going to happen to me because I'm a solopreneur. I'm, the Justin Welsh guy you probably see on LinkedIn. I'm Justin Welsh. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to take you down, Justin, if you're listening, but I the stuff you're using, you could take down what he's doing fairly simple if you had a small group of people and put a dent in it. I'm not saying anyone should, and I think you'd be bad if you did that, and there'd probably be a number of us that would hunt you down if you did that, because a lot of people like Justin. He's a cool dude. I spoke to him several times, but I'm just saying that he's a good example of a solopreneur that, and he, of course he does, he's probably better off than a lot of other people, right? He does things like 2FA and things like that. But I don't know. And I don't know, Justin may have a DRP and BCP, right? I don't know. But a lot of solopreneurs like him don't. They don't think about it. So I think that's another misconception. Like, it's not going to happen to me because I'm a solopreneur, but you might be doing a couple million in revenue. And if I'm a bad guy and I say, look, you want your social media back? You want your website back? You want that stuff back? Pay me 20 grand. If you're making $1 million, you don't care. That's 20 grand. You're going to pay it and get your stuff back. You're probably not going to go to the FBI. They're probably not going to do anything. 20 grand, that's too low for them. Local police, not to knock HPD, but a lot of officers and departments around the country are quietly quitting. So you can't rely on local police, unfortunately, anymore to really dig in. And again, there's a lot of great officers out there that are really working hard, but there's also those that are quietly quitting. And you may, you're playing the lottery there, right? You might get one that's quietly quitting and then nothing happens. So a solopreneur is probably going to pay the money just so they can get their stuff back. So I think those are some of the misconception areas of cybersecurity.